So the Oscars were this weekend, and this year I think was a sign that the Oscars are getting a lot better. What used to feel like a really pretentious night is starting to feel more connected to audiences. Seeing films that people really went out and watched and cared about being rewarded is really, really refreshing. I think over the next few years, we're going to continue to see not only larger films getting more praise, but more niche pictures becoming bigger hits to general audiences. This year's awards really felt like a celebration of all the films that came out over the last year, which kind of seems obvious and dumb to say, but maybe up until 2 or 3 years ago, I wouldn't have been entirely comfortable saying that about these award shows. I think the Oscars, they're finally back and they are finally cool again. Conan, in his second hosting gig, I think he did a really good job. I've seen a lot of people calling his opening monologue unfunny or a bit flat, but seeing him make these great jokes and having a crowd of people just sit there being really uncomfortable is quite funny. I think I'm in the majority in saying that I would love to see him come back and host next year's awards. Now, getting into the actual awards. I'm not going to cover all of these categories. Some categories I either haven't seen a majority of the nominees or the winner, or I just don't know enough about the category itself to give any real valued commentary towards. So, starting it off with Best Visual Effects. Coming from a background in the VFX industry myself, I really appreciated the nominees that we had this year. I feel like there was a good variety in what the visual effects industry can do. From, all-out CG films like Avatar to more technically subtle ones like F1. I'm really happy to see these artists get credit where credit is due. And of course, Avatar, Fire and Ash winning the top spot was no surprise to anybody. With the work that Weta has been doing over the past few years, it's hard to forget that these guys are doing legitimately groundbreaking work in each film, and it's so inspiring to see that they're topping themselves after each iteration. And honestly, I would be happy for James Cameron to make Avatar movies forever. What I did find surprising though is the amount of awards that Frankenstein managed to take in. Not trying to discredit Frankenstein in any way, the work that their team did was really incredible. For costume design, I had Avatar and Sinners over Frankenstein, and Hamnet taking the Oscar in the production category. I think that a lot of people tend to overlook the work that goes into the Avatar films outside of the visual effects aspect of them, not realizing that each costume in the film is first handmade by incredibly talented artists in real life and then digitally created for the film. Again, I don't want to take any praise away from Frankenstein. It was really incredibly refreshing to see Netflix produce something full of color, full of design, and I would love for them to continue that trend in the future. Another surprise for me was Amy Madigan, taking home the Oscar for supporting actress for her role in Weapons. It's no secret that the Oscars have snubbed horror films for decades, but I think we're finally crossing the line into the Academy appreciating these movies more and more. The 2020s have really been an incredible reinvigoration for the horror genre, and it's really heartwarming to see them get the praise on Hollywood's biggest stage. I think Sean Penn's Best Supporting Actor win was deserved also. However, personally, I think I would have preferred to see Benicio del Toro take the win for this one. Supporting actor has always felt to me like an award given to a performance that has such an impact on the screen, regardless of the amount of screen time that the character takes. While I think that Sean Penn's Lockjaw was a menacing antagonist and an absolute star of the movie, Benicio's performance had me infatuated in the cinema. I found the sequence in the sanctuary city and their escape of it was the most entertaining part of the film for me. And I don't think it would have had that chaotic energy that I found so compelling with our good old sensei there. Once again, I don't think Penn delivers a bad performance by any means. I just think that Del Toro left me with more of an impact in a shorter amount of time. And I think that really encapsulates everything that the supporting actor or actress award should be about. And I cannot mention the supporting acting categories without talking about, in my opinion, the biggest snub of the year. How in the world Jesse Plemons was not nominated for his role in Begonia is beyond me. Quite frankly, I think he should have won. His performance in Begonia was one of the creepiest, compelling, and in a lot of ways authentically human performances of the year. Not only that, but I think he had a really great ability to inject humor into his performances without taking away the darkness of the film.
That was really good. My pulse is racing right now.
Him, as well as Emma's performances, were so powerful to me that I might actually just make a whole separate video on it. It's just that good. If you haven't seen the film, do yourself a favor, go watch it. Go watch it right now. Now, I have tiptoed throughout this video over two incredibly important films, and alongside Begonia, I think that they're my favourites of the year. Sinners and One Battle After Another. Two prestige films from two incredibly inspired directors. They're both fighting for the same categories, and I think that either of them could have taken them for this award season. But, as there can only be one winner, let's go through them one by one and see if I agree with the Academy. So, starting it off, we have Best Film Directing, which was awarded to One Battle After Another. While Sinners, I think, did a really exceptional job in its edit, I don't believe that this one is close. In actual fact, I think One Battle's toughest competition here was F1. However, Andy Jurgensberg was able to capture that sense of tension and pace so well through the edit that I think it was the complete obvious choice. And I'm really happy for them. They did an incredible job. Next up is Cinematography, where Sinners went home with the award. Now, I have seen a lot of discourse out there over the fact that Train Dreams was the deserved winner. And full transparency, I have not seen that film yet. I have seen a couple clips, and I think it would make a strong contender, but I don't really want to weigh in on something that I have not watched. Now, just out of Sinners and One Battle, I think that I'm leaning towards One Battle here. The decision to shoot this film in VistaVision, I think, was one of the best creative decisions that they could have made. Seeing this film in a 70mm projection was incredible. Watching the film sort of dance around the room and with that raw, almost messy film look, I think it added so much to the sort of chaotic and relentless nature of the film. Movement was also such a well-utilized part of the shooting. The camera never really sits still, and it's always in a constant state of change, and that just adds so much to the atmosphere of it. And something that I think culminates perfectly in the climactic ending of the movie. Sinners also was shot really, really beautifully. The way that the movie uses lighting and color, not just for aesthetics, but also for narrative reasons, adds another great layer to the film's story. And I'm also really excited to see how Coogler continues to work with his cinematographers, especially as he explores more and more with the aspect ratio changing, like during the film's final confrontation. This year we saw the introduction of a new award, Best Casting, awarded to One Battle After Another, a decision that I don't fully agree with. While the cast is undeniably stacked, Sinners delivers something a bit more cohesive, I think. An ensemble that feels perfectly unified. No single performance outshadows the other. Instead, they all work in harmony to build a world that feels really lived in and authentic. You're not just watching individuals compete for attention, you're watching this community just exist. And I think that's really, really beautiful. And I'd be remiss not to mention one of my favourite underrated performances of the year, and that's Jack O'Connell as the antagonist. Casting someone of Irish descent as this vampire figure drawn to music is such a smart choice, and I think he plays Remick with a level of conviction that makes him really unsettling. Best music is a category that I always really like to pay attention to. It's a category that always seems so stacked with just incredible pieces of work, and this year is obviously no different. Ludwig Göransson is just on an absolute tear. He seriously needs to be studied. And in a film like Sinners with so many musical numbers, his score still really shines through as not only like an integral part of the film, but also just a really nice soundtrack to listen to on its own. I actually found myself listening to this soundtrack while writing up this video. I love how his past few projects, Oppenheimer, Black Panther, Sinners, have all felt really audibly distinct. And the stories behind him incorporating really culturally relevant instruments and percussion into his scores is really fascinating to learn about. I'm incredibly excited to see what he puts out this year with The Odyssey. Having seen the little sneak peek for it in IMAX, I can say for certain that it's one of my most anticipated movies of the year. One Battle After Another also had an incredibly strong score. Very distinct, very different from Sinners. It was a lot louder, chaotic, tense. It had my heart pumping in the theatre on multiple occasions. As someone who's not entirely musically gifted, I was continuously amazed with the blend of unique strings and percussion elements. I think that I am once again going to disagree with the Academy on this one, mainly on how the scores affected the experience of both films. Sinners was beautiful. But One Battle After Another score produced a more visceral reaction from me, and I think that led to more of an impact. I think it's really poetic that both these films took home the screenplay Oscar. So much the award season and this video have sort of been about pinning the two movies against each other, but having them both win their respective categories is a real joy. I'll never not get mad with seeing passionate filmmakers receive their flowers, and I think it's extra special this year that both the films were created from writer-directors. This award for me has also pushed Ryan Coogler into the heights of one of the greatest directors of this generation, and the possibilities for him in the future are really, really exciting. So, for Best Actor, I was really taken by surprise with Michael B. Jordan winning the Oscar. As someone who was hoping for a Timothée Chalamet win, this upset has been the award that I think I've been most conflicted over. While I think that Timothy had the standout performance of the year, I also think he kind of shot himself in the foot a bit during this press run. And Michael B. Jordan has just been killing it over the last couple of years. I think for now, I'm happy that Michael won the Oscar for what is not only a really, really well-performed role, but also a really technically challenging one in terms of the logistics of bringing twin brothers to life in the way that they did. And that just adds another layer of complexity to his performance. I think that we might look back on these awards in the future, though, the same way that we sort of do for Denzel losing for Malcolm X, or maybe Toni Collette losing for Hereditary. Honestly, I found this one a bit more conflicting because of how much I not only enjoyed both actors' performances, but seemed to enjoy them being good human beings as well. And that leads us into our last two awards, which I'll pair up for the sake of simplicity. When it comes down to it, Sinners and One Battle are two incredibly similar, yet really distinctive, different films. One Battle is chaotic, it's messy, it's unrelenting. Sinners felt more deliberate. It slowly builds tension throughout the film, and Coogler's direction feels more calculated. Yet both movies feature an incredible ensemble of real-world characters, focusing to show us the complete journey of just one or two. When comparing the two films, I find myself pointing out one positive, just to complement the other one, the exact same thing done in a different style and a different way. It is such a joy to have these great original stories being told on the big screen. And to disagree once more with the Academy, I think I would award Best Director to Ryan Coogler. However, I think I still agree with One Battle taking home Best Picture. I find it funny when these categories get split up. I actually had a friend the other day tell me that there's no point in separating the awards. But at the heart of it, Best Director celebrates the craft of filmmaking, something that Ryan Coogler has proven again and again about how meticulous and intelligent he is when it comes to the creation of his films. But there is no denying that One Battle After Another is an absolute force of nature, an unrelenting, tense experience that lasts for nearly 3 hours, yet it got me back in the cinema 3 different times to watch it. It's such a crossroad in American history for this movie to come out and be so outspoken with its themes, all while being packaged into one of the best films of the decade. It's such an achievement and it deserves to be celebrated. I think one thing that we really all need to recognize from this year is that almost all of the films nominated were outstanding. Almost everything I've talked about today was a film that I would happily go back and watch again. Audiences flocked back to theaters in 2025 in the biggest numbers that we've seen since the pandemic. And that's due to the quality of films being produced. I think that the real winner this year was us, the viewer. And I hope that storytellers continue to get the praise they deserve on Hollywood's biggest stage. So that's my take on the Oscars this year. I know some of the stuff here might be a bit out of left field, so let me know what you guys thought about it in the comments, what your opinions are. I'm going to try and keep making videos like this, so if you enjoyed it, please leave a like. It really, really helps. Thank you guys. I'm going to be looking at Project Hail Mary next week. So for in the meantime, take care of yourselves. Bye.